music.
The trouble is an audience. See, I'm in radio, and I got into radio because I never wanted to sit in front of an audience. And I'm learning what to do when there's an audience in front of me. I close my eyes and say whatever comes to mind. I also go off to sleep easily. At the age of 92, what can you do? Before you find out what I was going to say. Okay, I understand you're going to ask me some questions. Is that right? Yeah. It isn't so bad having an audience. The last time I got an audience, they turned the lights out, and that was the only way I could get through my congratulations speech, was not to have to see anybody. Now, you want to ask me an interesting question. I'd rather be answering that than my own inner worries, thoughts, despairs, horrors, hopes.
Dream.
Did I say despairs?
Yeah.
You don't want to leave despair out. It's terribly important. You can use it almost anywhere and get away with it. Anyway, this is how it is to be in front of a microphone. And I prefer a microphone, and one at a time. Do I see any raised hands? Do I see any cameras clicking? Do I see anything? Ah. I got a hand.
You said you started out in radio. How was that experience?
How was that experience?
Yeah, getting into radio.
Well, when I was very small, my father and grandfather had an apparatus, and I can never remember the name of it. It was a little gadget. It's kind of technical name, but I always try to remember it and I can't. But anyway, they did something with it, and boy, sound came out. I couldn't believe it. And thereafter, I was lost, because I listened to it all the time. It's Uncle Don coming down from, you don't even know who that is. And The Witch's Tale, remember The Witch's Tale? You don't. You do? And these were all on radio. And you could sit and listen and be there. And so I listened to The Witch's Tale. The witch had a cat by the name of Satan. She also had a voice way up like that. She'd say, "Well, Satan, what do you want tonight? A nice story about something that happened on the moors? Come over here and sit on my lap and stare into the fire." They were in front of a fireplace. "And look into the embers, and soon you'll find yourself on a moor in the night." And that won me over to wonders of radio, if you can imagine. What's more? But anyway, that was the very beginning, and I liked doing that sort of thing for the rest of my life. And eventually, I turned out to be in a radio station. And that was great, because I didn't have an audience. That's to say, I didn't have an audience that I saw. They were out there. I got letters. One letter had a black border, and it said something insulting, and then she said, "But thank you for," and then some title that I can't remember. "Thank you for," now it will come back to me. It's terrible to lose one memory, yet it's a blessing often. If you've noticed. Okay, now you wanted to, what was that question?
Oh, just how you started into radio.
Well, that was the beginning. It went on and on and on. Everybody had a radio, listened to radio, and the wonderful stories that were on it. And so I wanted to be in radio. But then, darn it, there was the Second World War. And instead I went to the ocean. I decided to be a sailor rather than a soldier. And they wanted me to, they kept sending me letters saying, from the Army, saying, "You're going to be in the Army." But I had already talked to the Navy. The Navy, I decided I want to get into the Navy. I better start early, because they were taking me into the Army. Not that the Army's bad, mind you. Who knows how many Army people we have here. But one day I got a letter from the army saying, if you don't arrive at the office tomorrow evening, you will send out the police, and we will bring you in. So I went over, and it was a bunch of rather, I was going to say obese gentlemen smoking cigars. And the first was, well, why do you want to get into the Navy? I had to think fast. And I said, because I'd rather be fish food than fertilizer. And I was excused. That was a great moment of my life. I had a wonderful time at sea for 2 years. Do you want me to go on? The story doesn't stop there. When I came back, the radio was over. Great things on radio anyway. I better take that back. There was music, there were other things, but the Witch's Tale was gone. Uncle Don was gone. Uncle Don was an uncle to everybody, but he came in an auto gyro. They called those things you see flying across the sky these days, auto gyros in those days. And he'd come down singing a song. Something about Uncle Don. Here comes your Uncle Don. Oh, well, I won't remember, so I better not try. Anyway, there was that period, and then after the war, there was no more radio, so I traveled in different directions, and here I am. And everything between has interest, but what I've just said, and what's coming up, might have less. Now, there's a big white sign in front of me, and it doesn't say anything. Do you want me to sign it? I've been signing things for 2 days. Why did you do that? I'd rather see it like this. They got it wrong. You getting my name? You know, it's a German name. It means farmer's field. But it used to have a T at the end, and it had a von in the beginning. But that was several centuries before that. Erik. But Erik, should I tell you why it's Erik? My name is really Bernard. Bynett. New York Bynett. Can Bunny come out? And when I got into high school, there was a bunch of students that thought it'd be interesting to ask people what they'd rather be called. And so I immediately said Erik, with a K. See, why do you want to be called Erik with a K? I just finished reading The Phantom of the Opera. Have you ever read the book? Yeah, well, the hero was the bad guy. Not so bad. And his name was Erik. And I thought, gee, it'd be great to be able to walk through walls and teach women how to sing and do all those other things. So I landed up being Erik. And here I am. It's a sad story. I better turn it around. It's getting sadder. Yeah. See, it's nice and white. It's a purity. There's a little purity in the audience. Oh, there's a hand. No, thank God.
Tell us the high point in your life.
What?
Tell us about the high point in your life. When you,
My high point?
yeah, when you became did the voice
I think
for
this may
Admiral
be it.
Then when you did the voice for Admiral Akbar.
Hey, see, one thing I'm losing that is a kind of a godsend, and that is my hearing.
Oh.
Now I can't hear what a lot of people say. That's
So
an
how did you become
advantage
the
sometimes.
voice of Admiral Akbar?
No.
How did you do the
I'll
voice?
stop talking so I can...
I know.
He was asking how you became the voice of Admiral Akbar.
And can you do?
You know, I can't remember. Well, yeah. See, as I grew up, I went back to radio and got to know some very wonderful people who are sound designers, they're called now. And they used to help me produce radio drama. And one's name is, I forgot his name. He was a very famous one. And what was the question? How I got to be?
Yeah, Admiral Akbar.
How I got to be what?
Admiral Akbar.
Oh, Admiral Akbar. So I was working in the studio at the George Lucas Ranch. It's a very nice place. It's a lovely place. They do sound, lots of sound. And I was producing the play. The producer was doing the sound. But suddenly in the room came the fellow who did all the sound for the Jedi movie. What was his name? Who knew? Don't you know his name?
John
Somebody
Williams?
please? Huh?
Ben Burtt?
Ben Burtt.
Oh.
No. But it begins with a B, and the last name is a B too.
It's Ben Burtt.
Ben Burtt.
No, Ben Burtt, yes. Thank you. Please stay around if I'm going to have to talk.
I knew you would.
How much does memory cost these days? I went to one and turned out to be a dentist. Still got some scars. Did I answer your question?
He tracked
I
you
was
up.
getting toward it. How did I get to be? Oh, yes. So Ben came in and said, would you come over? You do voices, don't you? Yes, I do voices. And he said, well, come on in and maybe just, let's hear what you sound like. So I went in and let them hear what I sound like. And I sounded like Bib Fortuna. But the first thing I sounded like was Akbar. I said, give us an audition. I said, what kind of audition? He said, that's it. Can you do It's a Trap? I said, it's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trick. No, he said, a trap. So I get, try this other one. And that was Bib Fortuna. That was a little more difficult because it was all in sutis, is it? Anyway, I got the parts. 2 of them. And it was only a half hour. And since then I've been getting here and there. I don't go out to try to get them because I'm doing other things. But it seems like that's not enough for it to be the whole story. But that's how I got these 2 parts. I was really trying to do a radio drama, and they came in and dragged me over there. And now you've got Bib Fortuna and what's the other guy? Akbar. It's a trap. Come on, there must be another question.
Is that a question over here?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Did you get to see what Akbar looked like before you actually voiced them, or?
Did I know what Akbar looked like?
Yeah.
It was a strange thing. If you get into that profession, you get to be able to do things that you wouldn't ordinarily want to do or do. You get, if you, they asked me
Do-do.
how he should sound.
He did
And I looked at
do-do.
Akbar, and I said, he's a fish. He said, yeah. And I said, well, he should sound like a fish a little bit. So I put a little saliva in my demonstration and read it, said, trap. We liked it, trap, but we didn't like this. And
Oh, no.
however, they did leave a little of that in it somewhere. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
It did?
Thank
I
you.
don't think I finished the story, but let's get to another one.
You have another question?
Why did I do it? Why did I stay there? Have you ever been to the ranch out there? Boy, beautiful, beautiful. To work for George Lucas? Wow. Wow?
You have another question?
No applause, no round of applause for George Lucas? He's a very nice man. No, so there was something else I got. And every once in a while someone asks me to do a voice and I do it. Sometimes my heart isn't in it, but it doesn't seem to matter. Take your heart out of it and sometimes you do your best work. I don't know what that means, but... Okay, some more questions. Something jolly, something funny.
Out of all the characters that you've voiced and all the stories that you've told, all the stories you've been on, do you have a favorite? Is there any favorite that you've had? You've had an entire, sometimes 3 lifetimes.
Yes, I did a story once of a character who was under the earth and he was trying to get out. And he didn't know what he looked like, but he was a horror. And he had to crawl up a long thing to get out. And finally he got out and walked around, and people were screaming with fright, screaming with fright. I say, wait, it's just me, it's just me, it's just me. And finally I saw myself in a mirror, and I screamed and ran back into the house. Another story?
Oh,
Yes.
there's
Does
one
that
in the
answer
movie,
your
wasn't it,
question?
too? There's one in the movie.
You taking my picture? That's
No.
another $25. If I smile, it's a little more. If I sit on a pretty girl's lap, you can have it for nothing. I'm going to take a sip of this. It's vodka. Could be. My God, it is. What kind did you get?
Icelandic.
I drink a vodka called Vodka of the Gods. You can get it at Trader Joe's on the West Coast. I don't know if they got it at Trader Joe's elsewhere.
One here.
Yes.
There's one here.
You
There's one Trader Joe's here in Tampa. They just opened it.
oh, well, look in there, the liquor department, and if you like vodka, try Vodka of the Gods. It's very inexpensive, but you have to put things in it to make it palatable. First I put in ice cubes, and then I put in orange juice. Then I put in a lot of Vodka of the Gods, and it's in a kind of a plastic bottle, so you can squeeze it. I found out you can squeeze the bottle and it goes. The last thing I put in is lime. Cut a line, squeeze the lime. Try not to hit the bottle with a straw.
Excellent.
So much for Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
You know how much I make on that? What I just said?
Yeah.
It's more than I make on a voice.
Yeah.
I try to
They got rid of it.
give them credit where credit is due. They're very nice people at Trader Joe's.
Excellent
Lots
plug.
of vodka, they say. that was a terrible moment, of course, in my life. Actually, yes.
What are you looking forward to in your life?
Do you know how old I am? Do you want me to say something? How about another month? How about a year? I was hoping for 2. Got so much to do. All the stuff that you gather. I mean, I wake up in the morning and see a bookcase, books and books and books that I used to study and teach. I'd like to be able to read them. But you want me to take that seriously? It's a serious subject, you know. As long as possible. As long as possible. I know a lot of people who are much older than I am. Not very old. How much did I say I was?
92.
I have a losing memory. The first thing I lost is how old I was. Then I began to invent ages. Like, 85? Try it again, try it again. 87? Where's the usher?
She left. She won't be
See,
for a
age
while.
is not as touchy a subject as the seniors. I enjoy being 92. I have a very good friend, Lawrence Ferlinghetti. He's 95. Do you know Lawrence Ferlinghetti? He's a poet on the West Coast. Very marvelous poet. He also hates people. Now, I take that back, Lawrence. He's liable to hear this one day, then I'll really have a problem. Now, steer me a little bit more seriously about what you think I should be looking forward to.
Episode
I,
7.
I,
That's a good
deliber-
question.
I deliberately left it an open-ended question because I find when you ask people that, everybody will answer it differently, and that's what I find interesting.
Oh, did you find what I said interesting?
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be interesting. Well, you see, 93 is, I got another year. I was born in June. And we've had our June, haven't we?
Yeah.
Then it gets to be July, and August, and September. Da 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 da. No, that's all. September, November, December, and soon it's June again. So, isn't that nice? You know, just
That was
strike
beautiful.
out.
That was beautiful.
How many?
And it wasn't, no, it's a serious question. I should give you a serious answer. Is that serious enough?
Mhm.
No, you don't, you look down for.
That's just the makeup.
Well, it's such an enjoyable thing to have an audience like you. Maybe I just want to go on.
That's
If
okay.
Lawrence can reach 95, I can reach 95. He says maybe. And I said, well, you'll see. Maybe we stay good pals. I'll learn how to do it. But there's so much to do. I do a lot of things that I like doing. And one of them is being here with such nice people. That was a surprise. I thought, autographs, people. And it turned out that people are really nice. It's a lot of fun. They laugh. They enjoy things.
Yeah.
That's a great pleasure. Great pleasure. And I mean that seriously. When you're dealing with things, you're talking to somebody, they say, yeah, okay, we'll try that. Try that. You sure you want that? Okay. Not a smile. But look here, all these smiles. And here, we're getting more of an audience. People let them in. How many are there? I settled for just so many and no more. I'm glad you were here. You want to know what I was saying? Believe it. How old do you want to be? No, but just laughing.
You're on the spot.
How old do you want to be?
Me?
Yeah.
18.
No, like, how old? How long do you want to live?
How long do you want to live?
Yes. To what age?
90s.
90s?
That's kind of good.
See, too many people want to be 90.
Is it not a good thing?
Well, see, you like to be different. You walk around with people who are 95, 94. You don't stand out. Oh, he's only 92. Oh. Just two O's in that too.
Yeah.
There's often two O's in two.
That's funny.
What to do, even do, if there's another O. I'm avoiding a serious answer to your serious question.
A question back there?
Yes.
I'm enjoying. Where do you live? Where do you live?
Where do I
How
live?
much you have to travel to get
Do you
here?
want an address and a phone
No.
number?
Oh, God.
That's a good
Maybe
$25.
$25.
Don't you get a picture with it? And my signature. I got two names. I got one name that's short, one name that's German. Long. It just never ends.
Oh,
I
God.
keep
Can I
forgetting
really
how
hear
to
it?
spell it. What?
I'd like to hear a German name.
You like to hear German name?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Bauersfeld?
Oh, sure. I studied German.
You've been Bauersfeld?
I know, Buyers. It's not like one of those with 4
Ich bin klein, mein Herz ist klein. Ohne Mann drin wollen, nur Jesus allein. You know what that is? That's the first prayer I learned to say when I was a little boy.
Oh, wow.
I finally took German in high school. I found out what it meant. I was a little disappointed. Everybody says, I am little, my heart's within, and no one will live there but Jesus alone. Isn't that nice? You want me to write that out for you? It goes as my next autograph.
No, I remember in German they put all these words together.
No, I can't hear you.
In German they put lots of words together to make one word.
You want everything in one
No.
word? It's true.
In German
Some of these words are
they
so
put,
long.
yes, they make words out of.
I used to have a T at the end. It was a T. They got rid of the extras when they moved to Ridgewood, New York.
Okay.
New York, you know, Ridgewood.
No.
See, this accent didn't come from nowhere.
No.
It did come from nowhere.
So is that Long Island or upstate? Or what they call upstate? What part of New
The
York?
way you want to relay that, say it
I'm
to the
sorry,
man
I didn't
next to you,
know I'll
and
get
then eventually it'll come up
I'm
here.
married.
Let me turn this around again. It gives me a little, it says expose. Why did they say that? Oh, expo. An expo, what is that?
An exposition.
Expo, I've heard a po means something else. Let me turn it away again. Oh, come on, where are you? I got a laugh, that's just waiting.
He won't bite you, don't worry.
Just signing autographs.
I don't want to sit.
Huh?
I don't really want to sit.
You don't want to sit?
I'm not quite that.
I can hold you up.
I'm not quite that bold or whatever.
Bowl?
Oh, no.
Little bowl.
I'm
Try it for a time.
Oh,
How much can you hold?
That was a comedian,
Quite a
though.
line.
That's funny.
It works.
well, I know. I'm glad you're healthy and able to do this.
Well, that's good. You have a little more?
I asked my
Things you're thankful for. Being here.
being here. The fact that my son got me more of a fan.
Your son is coming?
My son is sitting back there,
Who's he?
and I yes.
Is he
All right,
taking
Yeah,
this
she's
down?
not
Is anybody recording this? That comes to more than $25. You are. What did you say?
I talk too much sometimes.
Oh, that's good.
So
I think
I'm
talking to yourself is
saying-
one
I'm
of the
saying it
best
on
things to
record.
develop. I talk to myself. I say the most interesting things. But sometimes they're not so good. If I tell the truth, I can be depressed for days. Why don't you just shut up and let good enough standing? Sometimes you just don't obey yourself. But it's from the heart. Anything from the heart's supposed to be good, except, you know, things happen to hearts. They go bigger, they go older.
They get clogged up sometimes.
I don't think I better go on with that line.
No, that's why, that's part of my reason for saying I'm glad you're here
Yes?
with us and healthy at 91.
See, you know, I find it interesting what you're saying, even though I can't hear a word. You have a way about you, see
That's
it.
what
She's leaving. Why is she leaving? Huh? Don't anyone leave this room.
Oh, God.
I've got feelings too.
He's got feelings,
Taking
too.
pictures.
Yep.
My God, how much I'm making on this.
Every flash you see, $25. $25.
Did you say I have a flashy face? This morning I couldn't believe it. It wasn't a mirror. It was a TV screen, but it was black. And I thought, what is a mirror doing black? You know, things are black, you see things in it. Nice thing to have handy. They're all right. Yes, I see a hand.
And
I'll stand up for you.
Oh, will you?
Who am I?
No, oh, that's a good question.
Actually, my question is, beyond Star Wars, did you do a lot of other voice work, or did you stay in radio?
Well, I've done other voices. I was in AI. Oh, I have a picture of myself in AI. If you come by the table later, I can show you. But I got a strange part. Who's the name of the director, the wonderful guy?
Hubert?
Yes, he's a marvelous man. You ever met him? Wonderful. I don't know, I think I auditioned for it. I spent 13 days on the Queen Mary where they were filming AI.
Wow.
It was wonderful, all being around actors, great fun, wonderful. But I didn't know exactly what the person that I was portraying was like. I had a pretty good idea. In fact, it's a strange thing, you get to know after a while by just looking at a person what they sound like. And it's usually come out to be the right way. Well, this guy was one of the unfortunate creatures that when they lose some part of their apparatus that, you know, like you, where's that guy, that uniform on? No, he's not here. You're not useful anymore. So they take you, have you seen AI?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know the story. And so they take them up to the arena and chop them up. Everybody goes, way! You like being chopped up. So I was somebody who was going to be chopped up. I was in an elevator with a lot of other people that were going to be chopped up. And so I did the lines. What's his name liked it. But then during these 13 days, I had a chance to improvise a little bit. And finally, I got called, and he sent over a page with some notes on it. So I started reading the notes. He said, "Hey, that's the wrong script." I said, "Well, come on over here." He came over. He said, "Oh, I'm glad I got over here." And I made a mistake. I said, "I'm glad too, Mr. Spielberg." So I said, finally he said, he didn't have the rights for me, he couldn't find it. He said, "Well, just improvise. You're going into the arena, they're going to," oh yes. When I finally saw what I looked like, it was pretty horrible. It was just a head with streamers of stuff going down.
Oh.
It was ugly, horrible. And so he said, you're going to be executed now and say goodbye to your friends." So I said, "Oh, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye everybody, goodbye." He said, "You're not supposed to be sad." "Oh, oh, goodbye everybody, goodbye, goodbye." So he said, that's a take. I didn't thought I gave him much of a take, but he was very happy. Now, why did I get into that? Was that a question?
That was a question.
That was something, another one. Did I do another one? Yeah, I'm in something now that George Lucas is, no, it's at Lucasfilm, by a wonderful director. His name is Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear he's a marvelous director, and I've seen some of his things. They are. So I went over and did it first. And first of all, he wanted a woman screaming. So I said, "Ah! Ah!" Well, I did much better than that. They gave me a few lines, and I said, "Well, I don't know exactly how a woman should sound, but I did the part of a lady once." And it came into good use, because I got these terrible phone calls from people. All of a sudden, a strange, should I say foreign without being nasty, a voice saying, "Sir," was on the telephone, "we're calling from Windows, and we want you to do something for us, and if you don't do it, you're going to get into trouble." I said, "Well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, we want you," and then he said things, and I said, "Well, I don't think I could do that." Finally, I began to suspect it. And so I said, "No, I don't want to do that." And I hung up. And another day, it came again. It came the third day. And finally, I thought, this is going to go on and on and on unless I do something. So they called up, and I said, "Hello? Who is this on the phone?" "I don't know what you're saying." "No, I'm being busy. No, please don't. If you've got something to say, please say it clearly. I'm an elderly lady." I said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Now what do you want? My husband isn't here." "No, I know nothing about computers." "All right, ma'am. That was very nice. Well, if you've got something to say it. Get out of here. Don't call back." They went, "Oh, fine." That's the voice of Dorothy Brett, who was a famous painter in Taos, New Mexico, a long time ago. She was a friend of D.H. Lawrence. Have you ever heard of D.H. Lawrence? Well, I'm doing a program now, a very elaborate program with all the voices that were around in that time. And Dorothy Brett did a lot of voice work for me way back in the 80s, I think. So I knew how to talk like her, way up there. And so I was able to use that voice to good advantage. Anyway, they stopped calling me. I also called the police, and they say, "Ask them what their number is. I said, can you tell me what number you are?
There you go.
They hung up.
Yeah.
Mr. Bauersfeld, that's all the time we have. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise. Denard Erik von Bauersfeld.
Please
go ahead.
Next time.
Okay. Stop by his table, talk to him a little bit more. I don't know if y'all knew this, but he's pretty hilarious. So.
He is funny.
Make some noise one more time, ladies and gentlemen.
This young
Oh,
lady.
God, you're very generous today. You're going to take my picture. Should I smile? That's excellent. I take my glasses off. Hi. You like to smile? Can I look tough?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I always wanted to play bib. I did. But bib has a higher voice. You chop. You chop.
It's a
Got
trap.
picture?
Yep.
That's what.
I got a life.
Uh-oh. Selfie.
Live as long as I can. It's a joy to live. Isn't it? So here's the joy.
Sorry.
There are fewer here than there were before. Did I say something? I didn't mean it.
You did the tough voice and they got scared and
What's
ran.
that?
Yeah.
You did the tough voice and they got scared and ran.
I did the top voice.
Tough.
He did the tough voice. They got scared and ran.
Oh, you
Yeah.
have to be careful what I say. So now that there are a few of us, I can be more intimate.
That's funny.
Are you thinking? Very nice to have met you all.
You too.
You too.
You too. Thank you very
Even though
much.
there are fewer and fewer. That's fine.
Yeah.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie.
Fala português.
Oui, oui.
Fala português. I spent the war, mostly the Second World War, in Rio de Janeiro. So I got to learn how to speak Portuguese.
Okay.
And crucial words like bem pesado, a muito caro. You go shopping, it's too expensive. A little cheaper, muito caro. I was in Navy uniforms, and they didn't have many sailors around in Rio de Janeiro. So they gave me a place to stay way out in Ipanema Beach. It was beautiful. Are you familiar with Rio de Janeiro? Brazil? No? No Brazilians? Try it sometime. Not this season.
No?
Too hot.
Win a race. A real race. Das ist alles? Genug? Sehr gut.
How many languages do you speak?
What was that?
How many languages do you speak?
That was one.
Oh, okay.
Deutsch, a little Deutsch. Well, I used to speak German. Well, I wanted to speak German, but my parents all spoke German. My grandmother and grandfather speak German, but they only spoke German when they didn't want me to know what they were talking about. Consequently, I learned things like Spicciatura, something that when you heard the prayer a little while ago, they thought it'd be good if I learned the prayer in German, but I didn't know what it meant. French in France. No, that was in high school. But I liked Brazil very much. Brazilians had Portuguese, but their Portuguese was like our British English, you know. And they used to make fun of Portugal. And one of their amusing jokes was that they learned that Portugal was preparing for a war against France, or something like that. And so they began to build a wall of guns that were going to shoot into France. And they built and built and built and finally they used up all their money practically, only to discover that all the guns were pointing to Portugal.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And
Whoops.
Uh-oh. That's
so the
trouble.
Portuguese got together and said, now what are we going to do? We don't have any more. They'd attack Portugal. I didn't say that right. It's funny when it's said right, but it's been a long time. Any more?
No.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? What is that? It's not Latin. Oh, I hate it Latin. Not the classics, of course. When they're translated.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a great Latin text translated into English. It's amazing how good some of those things are. Does this still say Eric?
Yep.
Yep.
Take that with me.
I'm here to
What do you want
bring
to
you
get?
back to the
She
table.
wants me to go.
Yes, I do.
Oh.
Yeah, we gotta go.
That was your last.
No, I don't want you to go, but your fans are waiting for you at the table.
My friends are waiting.
At the table.
Fans.
Jeez, somebody.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, more friends.
Nobody laughs outside.
Easy now.
I have trouble standing up. I have trouble walking. But that's what happens when you get to be 92.
True.
You're going to help me down?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was going to do it myself.
Okay, then you do that.
Where's the step?
Right there.
Thank you all very much.
Thank